Hi everybody, Cathal Hughes here. As you can see, I'm badly in need of a haircut in these strange times when we're all isolating. I hope everybody's staying safe, staying at home and coping pretty well. Today I'd like to talk you through my setup that I use for catching lots of roach on venues such as Inniscarra. Okay, starting with the rod and reel. The recent festival, I used the Inniscarra Z rod. It was actually the first time I've used this setup. Wanted to try it, an ideal rod for catching lots of roach, and it proved to be. The model I use is a 10-foot model. 10 foot is a length that I like to use down there. It keeps everything close to me, makes casting short distances very easy and makes swinging and fish effortless. The reel I used is the Daiwa TGR 4000, and loaded on that I have 8-strand J-braid grand braid in 0.10. This never lets me down. It's super strong gear. Attaching my rig, top of the braid, I've just a small figure of 8 loop and a 4-turn blood knot. That strong as can be. You can see there on the top, this is one thing, I always use 3/4 ounce quiver tips. Unless it's a really bad tow, but it generally isn't on places like Inniscarra, and because you're fishing close, you can get away with it, and they're super sensitive. Now, to tie up my rig, this is the gear I use. It's the Tournament 6-pound ST. This stuff is absolute bulletproof, never let me down. Going on to the rig, most important part. I generally use the running rig all the time now. Find it perfect for hitting them shy roach bites, and it just, once I turned over a few years ago, changed over to it, I just can't seem to go back. Now, my rig is basically a simple setup. Use a feeder bead here, one of the Inniscarra feeder beads, super smooth, and it's a quick change. I actually like these rounded links, just lets the feeder sit dead center. So I have that running to one of the Daiwa large or medium float stops. That covers the little knot here. So I pull that over onto 5 inches of twizzled up ST line. Now at the end of it, I like to tie a loop. It just means when I'm changing hook, which you do quite regularly in Cork because you're fishing over a rocky bottom, hook blunts pretty quick. So you change a lot of hooks throughout the match. So this just makes it easier to change. No swivels, just keeps it right simple. Small loop there. And something that a lot of anglers, or I don't know if any other anglers that use it, what I've done here is I only allow the feeder to slide 6 inches. What I've done is I have a small little knot, tiny little knot there, and up against it I've just butted a small little number 12 stot. This stops the feeder running all the way up the line. The reasoning for that is because when you're catching very fast, the last thing you want is have to be lifting the rod in the air so the feeder slides back to you when you're filling the feeder at speed. So this basically keeps the sensitivity of the sliding rig, but just makes filling it that much quicker, which all these things add up at the end of the day. So feeder wise, as you can see, generally in the match, I start on these, it was all 40 gram feeders I used down there. I generally use between 30 and 40 grams all the time. To start the match, I use this medium 40 gram Inniscarra feeder. Now the reason I start on this, the mesh is a little bit tighter, which means the bait gets down that bit further before it empties. So this allows a little bit of activity, but gets the bait to the bottom. I want to keep them fish on the bottom where I can catch quicker. Once I get the fish into the peg, I use these window feeders, the Dennis window feeders, either small or the mini. That keeps everything very tight as it goes down, keeps everything very tight, empties reasonably quick. As soon as I move the feeder empties, and they don't snag. And it does happen quite regularly down there, the fish get a little bit funny and you start slowing down on bites, I change over to these mini Inniscarra feeders. Now the difference is obvious here, the mesh is a lot wider in this, which creates a lot more activity, and you can pull the bait out of the feeder. What I like to do is actually, when the feeder hits the surface, I count it down. So if I have a count, we'll say 12, I can pull it out at 8, which creates obviously that bit of a cloud falling through the last couple of foot of water. So that's it. Finally, I like my favourite hook for down there. I like red hooks simply because you're generally fishing single hook baits. So single red maggot, I like to keep it red hook, just camouflages it. I've actually caught fish before the match started on the bare hooks, so obviously it does help. I think it does anyway. This particular pattern, size 12, LS, Gamakatsu LS -1310, and or just snip guys, it's red. So they're always tied to the Guru Pure Fluorocarbon 0.16 and 0.18. I like fluorocarbon because it's stiffer and just doesn't seem to tangle as much as normal mono for hook lengths. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed that. Later in the week, might do one on the whip and pole setup for Inniscarra. Keep safe everybody and stay at home.